This story is about the life of a peasant who made a living by selling water at the market. He had about 10 pots to carry the water. Every morning he would place a wooden pole over his shoulders and carry a pot on each end to the well to fill them up. Then he would head to the village center to sell the water. However, among these pots, there was one that had a crack. Interestingly, the worker always chose the cracked pot for the first trip of the day. He would take it along with an intact pot to the well to fill them up. With patience, he transported the water for over 2 kilometers. As expected, by the time he reached the market, the cracked pot had already lost much of its water. Thus, the peasant could only charge half of the agreed price for that pot. On the other hand, the intact pot arrived brimming, allowing him to charge the full price. Soon, the other pots began to gossip among themselves about this situation. They didn't understand why the man kept using the cracked pot, since it cost him money every day. They also didn't understand why he always chose it for the first trip of the day. Meanwhile, the cracked pot began to feel ashamed. It had accompanied the peasant for a decade and held great fondness for him. It felt bad for realizing it only caused problems. Moreover, it didn't understand why it wasn't discarded. It remembered the times when it was a perfect pot, very useful for its owner. It had no defects and was one of the strongest in its daily work. However, one day, the peasant stumbled and the pot ended up cracking, making it difficult to use. This happened a long time ago, but the man had not yet gotten rid of the pot. The peasant did something that caught the attention of the cracked pot and the other pots. At certain intervals, while carrying the empty pots to the well, he placed something along the way. No one knew what it was. Suddenly, the peasant stopped doing this for a while, and then he resumed, but on the opposite side of the path. This intrigued all the pots, but since it wasn't consistent, they soon forgot, and the curiosity passed. The conversations among the new pots bothered the cracked pot. It lamented its little usefulness and the losses caused to the one who had bought and cared for it for so long. Thus, without thinking anymore, it decided to talk to the peasant to be discarded. One night, while the peasant rested, the cracked pot called out to him for a conversation. The man listened to the pot attentively. Without beating around the bush, the pot expressed its feelings. It knew the peasant liked him, but it didn't want to be kept only out of pity. It asked to be discarded and end it all at once. The peasant smiled as he listened. He said he had never thought of discarding it because he considered it very useful. Useful? Asked the pot. How could it be useful if it only caused losses? The man asked for patience and promised to show the next day why he valued the pot so much. The pot could hardly sleep from anticipation. The next day, the peasant asked the pot to observe everything along the way to the well. The pot paid attention, seeing a beautiful path with budding flowers on both sides. When they reached the well, the pot said it hadn't seen anything to explain. The man looked at it tenderly and explained, "Since you cracked, I've been thinking about how I could continue using you. I decided to scatter seeds along the path sometimes. Thanks to you, I could water them daily, and when they all bloom, I can harvest some to sell at the market for a higher price than the water itself." It was then that the cracked pot understood its beautiful mission. This story leads us to reflect on the importance of acceptance, resilience, and personal transformation. Like the cracked pot, which initially felt useless and inadequate, we often encounter moments when we judge ourselves as flawed or incapable. However, it is in these cracks of life that we can find opportunities to grow, adapt, and discover new ways to contribute and thrive. The peasant's attitude in finding a creative way to use the cracked pot reminds us that even in challenging situations, there is always room for innovation and reinvention. He didn't discard the pot, but rather recognized its unique value and turned it into a source of benefits. Therefore, we can take from life the lesson that our imperfections do not define us, but offer us opportunities to find new paths and reach our full potential. It is important to cultivate self-compassion, accept our flaws and challenges, and be open to possibilities of growth and renewal. Thus, like the cracked pot, we can discover our own beauty and meaning, even in areas we consider fragile or broken. What did you think of these reflections? If this message resonated with you in any way, we'd love to hear a bit of your story. Share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and leave in the comments your experiences and something that has impacted your life so far. Share with us your stories and experiences, and we hope to see you in the next video.